Candidly, Sharon H, bringing you what many think but won't bloody say. Do you have people overstep your boundaries? Are they disrespecting your personal space, or are they disrespecting you?
Sharon H, rolling out my weekly dose of unapologetic candidness. Ever felt like your life is being invaded, smothered, when someone doesn't understand social cues and respect your boundaries? Wondered how to set boundaries with toxic people? If so, then keep watching all the way to the end for my real raw, straight shooting take like no others on boundary invaders. Give me a show of hands by hitting that like button if you've ever found yourself desperately trying to avoid someone who seems to keep missing all your avoidance cues and just won't take the bloody hint. Someone who seems to pop up every time you breathe out loud. The kind that will do anything to put themselves in the position where you have to interact with them like it's a bloody sport to them. And whether these people realize it or not, they are fucking toxic. Yes, you heard that right. Fucking toxic. They have us feeling uneasy, anxious, agitated, and often at our bloody wits' end. It may not even be that we dislike the person, but their neediness and constant pouncing becomes so overwhelming. We dread the sight of them. When we are at our limit with their constant mind-numbing contact, then put simply, we are dealing with boundary invasion. Most people have good common sense to give others space, room to breathe. But these people, oh no, they will hound you day and night, whether it be in person or social media. Like that neighbour that lurks by their window, waiting to spring into action every time they hear our door creak open on a stealth mission to retrieve our bloody mail. Nothing like checking our letterbox at 1 a.m. in the morning, hoping the nosy, interfering bastards are out like a light. In these days and times, you can't even retreat behind your closed doors. Because in the technology world we live in, they can reach us day or night and on every platform. And God knows, they try. When someone constantly invades our boundaries, this impacts us negatively and our well-being suffers as a result. Because we simply don't want to deal with someone that won't respect our space, won't let us come up for fucking air. These people are pretty cunning. They will get in our face any way they can and make it look like they are doing us the favors. Favors we haven't asked for and favors we do not want and do not need. This is so when we reject their offerings, they can twist the narrative and call us ungrateful. Firstly, we must realize we are not ungrateful for wanting to protect our space. We are not ungrateful for not taking that lolly from a stranger, so to speak. We are not ungrateful because someone is being manipulative and cunning in a bid to get into our world. We do not have to allow anyone into our world, our personal bubble, our social media bubble. Just because we are nice to someone doesn't mean we want them in our face on the daily. But boundary invaders are not satisfied with that. They want expect more. Same goes with our social medias. I'm a friendly, outgoing person for the most part, but I don't like my space, my privacy invaded. Most of us don't. We try to avoid too much familiarity and anyone wanting to live in our pocket. When we start to feel discomfort or find ourselves avoiding our own garden or checking our own social medias because we know they'll be on us like flies on dung, something's gotta give. Especially as I mentioned before, if they are using ways to get close that in their eyes will make us look bad, we reject. They are trying to lure us into psychological gameplay. When we start to feel anxious or our inner alarm bells start ringing every time we see these people, then we are sensing something's off. And if they won't back off, odds are something is very off. Cannot ignore those because these social boundary invasions can turn into unhealthy obsessions that are going to take us nowhere good. When people accept our boundaries, we are happy because they are respecting our need for space. Sometimes we We cannot make our boundaries clear enough, because when we are dealing with someone who does not comprehend social cues, it falls on deaf ears. When someone resists our boundaries, whether it be through intimidation, manipulative tactics, or even threats, then it's time to take stock of what's going on. We can calmly try to lay our boundaries on the table and ask for space politely. But if this does not work, I would personally take action to distance myself. When someone exudes toxicity, we begin to feel it. It may not be in anything they've actually said, but a feeling. The kind of people that we don't feel better after interacting with, but rather we feel drained, depleted. If it felt forced, uncomfortable, unnatural. Again, maybe not in anything they've said, but a gut instinct, a complete utter vibe. A trigger warning. Sometimes we may have even interacted as acquaintances for quite a while before we pick up on these traits. One day their mask drops and we begin to see a completely different person. A suffocating, insufferable octopus-like person, reaching for us as if trying to smother us with their grip. Maybe we cannot even fathom or pinpoint where this newfound obsession came from. Was it always there? Were we blind to it? Or did we unconsciously let them in too much? These people will often be seduced by our kindness or what in their eyes we represent. So they will try to cling on tight to ride our coattails. But they will try to manipulate us into thinking it is in fact they doing us the favors. These people always seem to have toxicity around them and dramas that are always another's fault. They are blame shifters, and it's only when we begin to recognize their manipulations do we start to question their role in their sob stories. They will even use others' struggles as a way to get close to them. They make everything about them. Everybody's stories, everybody's struggles, everybody's wins will become a story about them. They will store information on you. Anything they've seen you say to others, or in former posts or comments, or even in passing to them. They're going to store it all, and they will start to post your business for others to see, so it looks as though you are close. Even when it's not their bloody place to divulge these things. They're kind of shit-house rats, and they think the rules do not apply to them. They're forever trying to lure you in to bleed you for as much information as they can. We will sadly never be able to change someone or make them respect our boundaries. We can ask ourselves, is it worth worrying about or best left brushing it under the carpet? Because let's face it, you can't argue with toxic people. They're versed in calculation and cunning and twisting the narrative, gaslighting and projecting. Sometimes people genuinely do not pick up on our cues and have no idea they're actually crossing the line. But if we try to explain this to them and they accept that we need our space, then well and good. But if we are unable to persuade someone to back the fuck off politely, then we may have to reevaluate our communications, our connections to them. Especially if you're seeing passive-aggressive posts directed at you on social media and you know full well they're coming at you. Toxic people are never wrong. They will never look at their own behaviors or reevaluate what they may have done to make the other person reject or pull away from them. All we can do in this case is lie down and take their manipulative bullshit or disengage. These people, in my opinion, have narcissistic traits and they will never see the error in their ways. They need to drain power from us. I believe we need to cut ourselves off as their power source. Physically staying as far away from them as possible, avoiding anywhere they may be. If we can't avoid them, then keep conversations very generic and don't let them be privy to anything we may regret. Declining interaction with them as much as possible or completely. Detaching from boundary invaders can leave us feeling awful if they've not actually been rude to us or otherwise wronged us. But the thing is, if they're ignoring our cues, our boundaries, and invading our privacy and space, it is wrong. We all have the right to our privacy. We all have the right to our space. We all have the right to not expect others to store information on us, to blurt out at their own will for their own gain. Sometimes we have to put our own mental health before that of another's. They are responsible for all they do. And learning to understand and respect when they're coming on too strong and causing discomfort and unease. Detaching from someone that causes us anxiety or makes us feel smothered does not mean we think they're a bad person or that we don't care. But one thing you must be full aware: they won't follow social cues or abide when your boundaries you've shown. Then you've got to care less about their comfort and more about your fucking own. Don't rush off. Be sure to check out this video next. Thanks for watching.